28, 2024. We will begin this meeting. Thank you so much to those of you who are online. We thank you for joining us as well. And with that, Ms. Benita, would you call the roll, please?
Terry Frazier, Noel Garcia,
Present.
Lawrence Odago.
Here.
Angela Matthews,
Here.
Robert Proctor, LaShonda Thomas, Samantha Bee. Here.
Trustee Garcia, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance,
Be
please?
glad to. I believe to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, to those who are here in the room and online, we have a special recognition. There's not many times that we have celebrities that come to our college campus, but we have a celebrity that is in the house with us. I'm talking about J.C. Simon, 2024 Paralympic silver medalist. A little bit about JC. So today we have the incredible honor of recognizing one of our own, as I said, JC Simon, a standout student and athlete who recently made all of us proud on the world stage, not on the state stage. JC is not only a student here at LCC, get that, but she's also a Paralympic silver medalist in the badminton, representing Team USA with determination and grace. I'm excited. Are you excited? That's why I'm reading this like I'm excited, because I am. Her journey to the podium is a testament of her hard work. See, when you come to LCC, this is what happens. Resilience and the power of setting high goals and pursuing them relentlessly. She embodies the spirit of excellence we strive to cultivate at LCC. So we're going to do a brief 90-second highlight of JC. Cue it, Patrick. Come on.
Life just passes me by. I get stuck in the beginning with the option. Around, oh, so much of the ground. I'm just in the bed, this morning, bored, again, I'm tired. I feel like giving up. This life is too much. Life just passes me by. I get stuck in the rhythm. Push that clock, get pushed around. Work so hard to hit the ground. Getting home, get in the bed. Cause in the morning, bored, again, I'm tired. I feel like giving up. Life is too much. Can I keep on fighting till my lungs give out? I know what's a place we live. Just to take a race. Ready for a change. 7-7, match point. JC Simon.
Chasing timer. 7-20.
See that? Did you hear that? Okay. We are so proud of JC's accomplishments, both academically and athletically, and we look forward to all the ways that she'll continue to inspire our campus community and beyond. So I want everybody to stand up and join us in congratulating JC Simon on her remarkable achievements and her Well, celebrities, would you like to have some words? Absolutely, of course, of course.
Patrick has a microphone for you.
Thank you everyone for all the applause. And I know you have to be here, but hopefully this makes it a little bit better. But anyways, this wouldn't be possible without LCC and my entire community, both in St. John's and here at LCC and around the state. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and it wouldn't be possible without all you. So thank you, and LCC has done an amazing job, so thank you.
Before you leave, can we get a picture? Can we get it into the picture? And forgetting the cookies.
Yeah.
Now, there are some cookies that are in the back that has a stapler on there, so make sure that you go grab some cookies. All right, we would like to thank Lane and everyone who was responsible, Tricia, and everyone who was responsible.
We gave them permission to scoot out. They have another recognition tonight.
Oh, so thank y'all so much for the great work, all of those who participated. We heard about the parade earlier. Trustee Thomas was there and President Robinson was there. So every one of you, you represented LCC in an awesome way. And this is what we're talking about. When you come to LCC, great things can happen for all of our students and those involved. So thank you so much. Before we move on to approval of the minutes, I just want to say that this is Breast Cancer and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And that's why we're here. That's why we have on our pink, because we're representing and remembering the people who fight so hard, those champions. We don't know who's amongst us in our families or at work. And so we just want to take a moment of silence to just honor those who fight every day in these respective areas. Thank you so much. All right, as we move on with our agenda, it's pretty hefty, so I will try to condense it so that we're, it's fluid. So do I have for the approval of minutes for September 16, 2024, the regular Board of Trustees meeting? Do I have a?
I move we approve the minutes as written.
Support.
Thank you, Trustee Vave. It's been moved by Trustee Vave, supported by Trustee Garcia, that we approve the minutes of our regular board meeting, trustees meeting of September the 16th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan, would you call the roll?
Terry Frazier, Angela Matthews.
Yes.
LaShonda Thomas, Lawrence Sadago.
Yes.
Samantha Babe.
Yes.
Robert Proctor, Noel Garcia.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Moving on to agenda item number 6. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Madam Chair, I'd like to request that we pull out, let me get to it here. Consent agenda item 10. I'm getting to it here. Request for proposal E, talking about the athletic uniforms and equipment.
Okay, thank you, trustee Garcia. When we get down to consent agenda items, then I will make another statement and then we will take that out.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, we move down to limited public comment regarding agenda items only. That's agenda items only. Is Benita, is there any ones that signed up?
None for limited public comment. regarding-
Patrick, any online? Okay, thank you so much. So my trustees, my colleagues, before we move down the agenda, I just wanted to bring a little bit of clarity so that, again, we're smooth flowing. When it comes to the annual comprehensive financial reports by Michelle Fowler, that is part 2 of the 5-part packages that we received. Again, that's going to be part 2. That is the annual audit. When we get down to under consent agenda item number A, that is going to be part 3. If you go to the second page, number 5, when we get over to the monthly monitoring reports, that's going to be part 4 of the board packet. I just want to make that clarity so that we wouldn't have to, scramble to look for it. Is that okay? Thank you. Moving down to monthly monitoring report. Dr. Roberts.
Chair Matthews. I want to let trustees know, good evening, everybody. And our CFO, Don Wilski, is joining remotely. So Don, if you're listening, I think I will introduce Michelle, unless you have some framing comments. The board is very familiar with Michelle Fowler from Raymond to present what we call the ACFR, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Reports. And Patrick, unless you see Don flagging on Webex, I think Michelle can just come to the podium and tell us about the ACFR.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Robinson. I appreciate that introduction. And yes, I'm here to present the annual comprehensive financial report, which is basically the audited financial statements for the college for fiscal 2024. So as Dr. Robinson, Chair indicated, that's going to be the first document in part 2, which is the very long document. And we did already do a very detailed presentation with the audit committee earlier this month. So I'm going to give the board the highlights of that very detailed presentation to the audit committee. So I'm happy to report that the college did receive an unmodified opinion, or what's called a clean opinion, for the audited financial statements. And also did want to report that there really weren't any new accounting pronouncements that were applicable to the college this year. You might remember the last couple of years, there were some significant pronouncements for leases and for subscription-based IT arrangements. But it was nice to have a year where there weren't new accounting pronouncements. And so what we're looking at for fiscal 2024 is very similar to what you would be looking at for fiscal 2023. Also did want to point out that the college did end the year in a healthy net position or fund balance situation. And so actually an increase of about 24.2 million during the fiscal year to end at just over 63.6 million at the end of 2024. So very healthy there. The other thing that I did want to report as it relates to the results of the audit, so we talked about the college receiving the clean or unmodified opinion. Also very positive, the college did not have any audit adjustments, as a result of our procedures. So what that means is when we came in and did our audit work, there weren't any changes that needed to be made to the financial statements. So that's good to know as a board. So that way, you know, throughout the year, when you're getting that monthly financial information from the business office, that you can rely on that. Because we only come in once a year to look at the financial situation for the college. So good to know that you can rely on that information that you're getting throughout the year when you're making decisions on the college's behalf. And also wanted to report that we did not have any internal control comments. So if we had anything where we felt that there were deficiencies in the internal controls over financial reporting for the college, we would have needed to have reported that in writing to the board. So very clean audit this year. Any questions on the financial statement audit before I move on to the single audit? Okay, all right. So part two of what we do for the college is we need to come in and look at all of the federal expenditures that the college has. And so that is basically called the Single Audit Act Compliance Report. So that's the second part of that section that has the audit documents. And wanted to let you know that for fiscal 2024, the college had just under 27 million in expenditures for federal awards. So there's a lot of federal money that the college is using for its students in various programs. And of that, we had two major programs that we were required to come in and do the detailed testing of all the compliance requirements for each of those programs. And our coverage was about 25 million. So we looked at most of what those expenditures were for the year. And for both of those programs, we had no compliance findings and we had no findings for the internal controls over compliance. So another clean report for the federal expenditures. And that concludes my formal presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Not a question, but as someone who serves on the audit committee, you always give really detailed and thorough presentations. I always appreciate the time that you spend with us to make sure that we fully understand everything and have all of our questions answered. And so I just wanted to say thank you.
All right. Oh, you're welcome. A pleasure.
I think that we need to give Don and his team a hand, a big hand, because she says clean.
Yeah.
He's got his hand up.
And
Don, you didn't have that crystal ball, but I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Good evening, and thank you for letting me attend remotely this evening. No, I just wanted to, as you've just said, thank Michelle and her team for the outstanding work that they do in terms of the college's audit, and also give recognition to Megan Garrett, our controller, and her team in the accounting department who produced this 100-plus page report. As many of you know, we submit this report to the Government Finance Officers Association for their review, and we will be doing that after this evening. And again, we hope to have another year of their recognition for outstanding financial reporting. But just thanks to everybody for all their work on this effort.
Don't lean too far back, Don. Just don't lean back too
Oh,
far.
don't lean back.
All right, that didn't land.
I got it.
Okay. Waterfall.
Okay, so Dr. Robinson, am I set?
That's Dan.
Michelle, thank you so much. I would say, Chair Matthews, on this topic, if Trustee Proctor were here, we know what he would say. He would quote Trustee Larry Meyer celebrating that a clean opinion is the goal, right? And thank you, everybody, for celebrating that work and for the excellent work that goes into the preparation for the audit. So thank you all. Thanks, Chair Matthews.
Yes.
And I'll just add just 1 second. In a time where trust, transparency, and accountability is really a part of leadership, part of, different positions, for us to have an unmodified, clean opinion. And I wrote some notes. I don't want us to take this lightly, because at any particular point in time, if you get the wrong people in particular areas, things can turn the opposite way. And so I want to thank you as being our faculty and our staff for your honesty and for what you do to make this happen, because this cannot happen without you. Yes, accounting does what they do, but it's something that you do that's connected to that to bring forth all of this great work. So I want you to give yourselves a hand for what you do in your respective areas. All right, moving on to the president's report.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. We need a motion to accept the audit.
Oh, okay,
Thank
I'm just.
Madam Chair, I move we accept the audit as presented.
It's been moved by trustee Davis, second by trustee Thomas, that we accept the annual comprehensive financial report as it's been presented. Any discussions? Ms. Duncan, would you call the roll?
Lawrence Odago.
Yes.
Noah Garcia.
Yes.
Terry Fraser, Robert Proctor, Angela Matthews.
Yes.
LaShonda Thomas, Samantha Babe.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next, we have the president's report. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Chair Matthews. Again, good evening, trustees. Before I get started, I'm going to be brief this evening because it is a hefty agenda. Chair Matthews, trustees, thanks for recognizing J.C. Simon. I want to thank everybody who did the parade. I've never really experienced anything like that, having an Olympian on campus and having a parade, and it was very, very special. So thank you very much for that. I always like to highlight the written president's report. There's a lot of great stuff in here. A few shout outs. There's great information about our pop-up food pantry on page 7. Last month, we served food to more than 400 students. Trustee attendance at the scholarship breakfast is on page 11. I got to pinch hit as the MC at that event, and it was held at a really exceptional place, the venue out at the Lansing Mall. Great event. Marilyn Twine's press clips are on page 12, and there's great information about some global student recruitment that happened in Mexico. Our teammate Cindy McCursey traveled to Mexico to recruit international students. The PDF and the flipping book versions of this are archived online. You can go back. So, written president's report. The big news that I want to share with you, I shared with some of you when we were in Seattle for ACCT, is we do have our draft report from the Higher Learning Commission from the visit, the comprehensive site visit at the end of September, the 23rd and the 24th. Now, Mark's here, so I have to say this very emphatically. This is only a draft recommendation. It has to go to the Institutional Actions Council. Right now, it's in fact finding. But I can tell you that we're super proud that that draft came back and that we earned a MET rating on every single accreditation requirement. There's no interim monitoring or any kind of special focused visits recommended. Again, going back to trustee Proctor and former trustee Meyer, clean opinion. And I really want to thank the trustees who met with the site visitors. I want to particularly thank our accreditation liaison officer, Mark Kellen, and our chief academic officer, Sally Welch, and all the faculty and staff who helped prepared for that visit. Very successful. And I put the draft of the conclusion. This is the concluding paragraph, and you can read it on your own, and it will become permanent pretty soon. But I did highlight the last sentence, which I thought was a real win for LCC and our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. I'm going to read that last sentence. Finally, the peer review team finds that LCC should be commended for its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, parent empowerment. That's a shout out to Dr. Dan, which is evident throughout the college's operations. That's been our goal from the very beginning, is to embed DEIB into everything that we do. So very successful HLC visit. Next, Chair Matthews, as you've communicated to the board, I wanted to highlight that I'm very excited about where we are with strategic planning. There is not a strategic plan draft, member retreat to review and refresh that draft plan. And I really want to thank the board for the additional engagement over the last 12 months. We had a February workshop with the board where our consultants specifically got the input of the board on mission, vision, and values. There were thought leader interviews. 2 trustees participated in that. There was a board-specific SWOT pre-survey and another board-specific survey on mission, vision, and values. We did deliver a draft in June, but this November retreat, I think, is going to be very helpful. What Chair Matthews has explained is that we're gonna align our end statements with our strategic plan. So I'm really excited to discuss the draft and just remind everybody that we had a ton of engagement, more than 125 employees, survey results from more than 1,000 students. So we're very excited about the comprehensive strategic plan. And so you can go through the next slide too, Patrick. That's all the stuff I said. And then on the next slide, Patrick, if you're watching the Lions game, I got a text from a couple of you. Here's a 15-second spot that aired during the Lions game. This thing's powerful. Let's play that. Craig Jones is the voiceover. 15 seconds.
Flexible and affordable education choices help you succeed so you can be there for those who need you most. Join the community that's sponsored at lcc.edu/get started.
You better go, LCC.
So I know everybody was excited about the Lions game, but my phone was blowing up when this went out. And I'll tell you, at my former college, we paid a lot of money to an external firm to do these. That's an in-house ad. Very, very nice. So shout out to everybody. And then finally, before a star is hired, Chair Matthews, I do want to let everybody know how well this group represented LCC at the annual Congress of the Association of Community College Trustees. 6 of the trustees were there, in addition to Benita Duncan and Lane Ingram. Benita and Trustee Proctor did an excellent presentation on policy. We did miss you, Trustee Vave, but I sent you a video of the land acknowledgement at this conference was done by the Muckleshoot Canoe family with their family song and their honor song, and it was really, really special. It was an excellent opportunity for us to build some connections with each other and the broader two-year college community across the country. And I do want to give special thanks to Benita for doing all the trustee travel arrangements and setting up some great meals while we were there. And finally, Chair Matthews, this is the part of the agenda where we, I love this part, where we invite our to the board meeting so our trustees can see who they are. We did do a bunch of hiring in the last 30 days, and I wonder if any of our new teammates are here with us this evening. It's not a requirement, so we don't, there's sometimes where we would not have new employees here at the board meeting, but I do want to let you know the new full-time faculty and staff members are invited to a one-on-one meeting with me in my office. I love those meetings, and it's always great to get new people here at the college. So that's my president's report, Chair Matthews.
It's on the board packet and decided not to come.
Yeah, it was, yeah. That's probably likely, Trustee Bay.
You almost didn't come, no, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. And I've already heard for item number E to be taken out of the consent agenda. Going to add also item number A to remove that from the consent agenda. Is there any other items on the agenda, my colleagues, that you would like to remove? Hearing none. Do I? Yes. No.
I have a clarifying question. Was the request to remove both E1 and E2 or just E1?
E1.
Just E1?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm going to reference E2, but I just want to discuss E1.
There's E1. All right.
Thank you.
So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for items number B, 1 and 2, C, 1 and 2, D, 1, and E, 2?
Madam Chair, I move we,
E1.
no, this is everything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Madam Chair, I move we accept the consent agenda item B12, C12, D1, and E2.
There's a second.
Support.
It's been moved by trustee Vade and second by trustee Thomas to support it, that we would approve the consent agenda for items B12, C12, D1, and E2. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan, would you call the roll?
Samantha Bee,
Yes.
Noel Garcia.
Yes.
Terry Fraser, Robert Proctor, Lawrence Fadago.
Yes.
Angela Mathis.
Yes.
LaShonda Thomas. Motion carried.
Is there a motion to approve consent agenda item number A, 2024 5-year capital outlay plan and capital outlay project request? Remember, this is for part 3 of the packet that we have before us.
Madam Chair, I move we accept the 2024 5-year capital outlay plan and capital outlay project request.
Okay, moved by trustee Vave, supported by trustee Thomas, that we approve the consent agenda item for the capital 2024 5-year capital outlay plan and capital outlay project request. Any discussions? So with regards to the, all right. First of all, thank you for the work that's been done on this. It's quite a bit. And my goodness, I'm confusing myself because it's a lot of paper. I want to go to page, and it might be different pages, I'm thinking.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
I'm trying to get to the pages that has all of the buildings, photos of the campus building. In the first copying of this, it says Appendix A, photos of campus buildings, and I'm not sure if that kind of messes people up. Academic office facility, admin building, so on and so forth. Do we have it? Okay.
62, you said?
After page 62.
I think it's different on the electronic copy though.
So with regards to the 5-year capital outlay plan, it appears that a lot of time has been taken to go through, for lack of a better word, each of these buildings and then to offer space maximization for all the buildings. That's what we're doing. Reimagining the buildings and for space maximization. It's a lot right here. It's a whole
Yes,
lot.
ma'am, understand.
It's a lot. And I just clarity. I think that the work that's been done is great, but just wanting to make sure that I'm connecting the dots with this. That's all.
So one of the major focuses of the campus master plan, which our consultants are here tonight to talk about, actually focuses on a detailed data analysis of space utilization.
Okay. Okay. Now, I had a question regarding the early learning children's community. That would be reimagine or purpose for our small business development office. That,
And finance and a couple other items.
okay. So that's gonna house?
That would be in the that would be contents of the campus master plan.
Okay. Yeah, both of these documents. Okay. And so I may cross them, here and talking
That's
about it. What's going on at the university center? Because I thought Altium was using that facility, but now it appears to be vacant? Or are they still there?
So GM's company Altium has been reimagined to something else. And so the LG partners were finishing out their time, but they will be moving out officially by December 31st of this year.
Oh, okay, all right. And so K-12 operations has been pegged, so to speak, to move into that building. So
Identified
that's-
as a primary focus, yes. ma'am.
Okay, all right. Okay. Hold on, just one. There's a lot of papers.
Chair Matthews, while you're looking at, and Chris can add more to this, but one of the ways to really distinguish the 5-year capital outlay plan and the master plan that we'll hear about later is the 5-year capital outlay plan is a statutory requirement for submission to the state. And so while it contains a lot of overlapping information about our facilities, the kind of the end purpose of the document is different. One is for a statutory requirement here in the state of Michigan. And as you mentioned, the campus master plan is about imagining future use and futuring essentially our facilities use going forward.
What's happening over, and you probably have said it before in these meetings, but time has gone on and we're getting older, so our mind is not as sharp. Excuse me, what's happening over at the 515 North Capitol Avenue building?
So that space, the old sheriff's house, is predominantly used for facility-related storage. We reconditioned the outside to maintain its historical presence in the community, and so we use it for very utilitarian purposes on the inside.
Okay. And refresh my memory about the 505 North Capitol Avenue building.
So 505 has great potential. It's within what we believe our long-term campus footprint and has about 20,000 square feet that we can put something in. But at the moment, we don't have a plan for it, but it's a great placeholder for some fairly large new program that we want to invest in.
Okay. All right, those are my questions, Trustee Bay.
505 was what was going to be the Veterans Center and the SIM lab and the cybersecurity, yes?
Correct.
Okay, in the past, okay. Thank you. Just making sure I got the buildings right.
Comments?
Okay, I have a couple of questions. First of all, let me just say, I can barely hear. I think my ears are still plugged from the plane. I don't know. Like, oh my God. So anywho, can you renovate? So how are you planning to renovate for the future? So you have funding going towards 505, but you're saying, well, possibly it will be used for a program, but are you just going to do a general renovation of it or?
Right now, we just have it in the inventory as a placeholder for future development.
Okay, so money is put aside for later use, or how is that going to work?
So now that the campus master plan, if I'm able to talk about that, has been.
Sorry, I'm doing like her. Like,
No, that's
just
okay.
all switching.
That's okay. And our consultants will get into much greater detail about what's
Okay.
getting presented to you. But long-term, now that we have the campus master plan, there's a very, very rough estimate for what it would cost to make the renovations that are in the campus master plan.
Okay.
Roughly 120 million. Now that we've got that, Don and his team are working on long-term financial plan to fund the campus master plan.
Okay,
But he needed a dollar amount to work with to really know how to plan. So he's
Right.
waiting for us, and hopefully very near future, we'll be done with our piece.
hopefully it'll be cheaper. Second, and I might be switching again, but the capital projects, it was saying that the only like definite date was for the cybersecurity center. But are there dates, rough dates for the rest of the buildings or no?
So in the 5-year capital outlay plan, predominantly what that's for is to ensure that all state agencies present their plan for making sure that we're being good stewards of the assets. And so really it's about the ongoing maintenance and repair of the facilities, the work that Tim Martz and his team do. And it's also a place where we identify projects that you all have authorized and funded, and you will see a list of those projects as part of the capital outlay project. Capital 5-year capital outlay plan. Now I'm going to get confused.
So if I could, Chair Matthews, just again, when we get to the annual monitoring report where we talk about the 10-year campus master plan, our consultants have a very brief presentation to explain that. Again, this 5-year master plan is the one that comes every year as a statutory requirement along the lines that Chris just mentioned. The state requires that we report on these facilities for good stewardship of state resources.
I'll wait then.
So, I'm sorry. Any other questions? Because I was learning one of the team. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Page 20, I hope it says Lansing Community College 5-year capital outlay plan, staffing and enrollment. That's where I am. So earlier, I do believe it was maybe last month, we were told that we had about, what, was it a 6% or something increase in enrollment? 6.4% in enrollment. But here it's saying that using this particular model, that they anticipate the ARIMA model anticipating a slight year-over-year decline in enrollment for the next 5 years. So I'm just wondering with.
Gratefully, Dr. Fall has agreed to come up and speak to the data that his team might have provided me.
Okay. He knows where I'm going.
Yeah, so
All
this
right.
is actually a pretty simple explanation. This just has to deal with when the materials are due for this report. So this is pulled together over the summer, and it's just a analytical predictive model. It's not real accurate. It's just kind of a rough forecaster of enrollment. So that was prior to us knowing we'd actually go up in enrollment. Now we would have to go and recalculate if we were to do it again, but for the purposes of the timing of this, that's why you're seeing my number.
Chair Matthews, if I could, while Matt is there, the number that's listed for 23-24, that's last academic year, right? So the number of the fall to fall increase of 6.4
Yes.
is the leading fall spring semester of the 24-25 academic year.
So there are a couple requirements that we have to meet in this section of the report. One is to show historically what your enrollment been, and then now also predict what the next 5 years are going to look like. Well, it's crystal ball stuff. So it's our best guess and use an analytical technique to kind of point us in about the right direction.
All right, Matt. Thank you, sir. Both of you, thank you. I don't have any other questions. Do you have any other questions, anyone?
Madam Chair, I move we approve the 2024 5-year, oh wait, did I?
Yeah, that's,
Sorry.
Good discussion.
My fault.
you're
That was
supposed to
taking
keep us on task. We're the ones that are sleepy.
That was the discussion part.
Yeah.
So now we're taking the roll.
Lawrence Odago,
Yes.
Noel Garcia.
Yes.
Robert Proctor, Samantha Bay.
Yes.
Angela Matthews.
Yes.
LaShonda Thomas, Terry Frazier, motion carried.
Thank you so much. Good. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the request for proposal? Agenda item E, number 1, athletic uniforms and equipment.
Madam Chair, I move we approve athletic uniforms and equipment under request for proposals, item E.
Moved by trustee Day, second by trustee Thomas, that we would approve the request for proposal, E1, athletic uniforms and equipment discussion.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to start off by saying I'm not in opposition of spending money for our 160 student athletes and our 15 or 21 coaches and 9 varsity sports that we have. I'm in high support of our student athletes and our athletic program. My question is related to supporting our local businesses. And as I look at the RFPs here, I see that some of the for the sporting equipment, there's one of the companies that are local, but then I look further down, and if you look at the general trade services RFPs, there's several more local businesses, which I'm happy to see. My question, I guess, and I know Athletic Director Greg Lattic is here, maybe he can answer these questions, is what is the process of posting these? I know you post them. You can't make our local businesses put in for RFPs, but where are these postings made? Are they reaching our local businesses?
Trustee Garcia.
Oh, if I could, Chair Matthews, there are a few teammates who could speak to that, but if we could start with Dr.
Sure.
Samuel on the procurement part.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question, and thank you, Dr. Robinson. So we do post our solicitations on a national basis. We use a website called BidNet, but we also, through that process, basically whenever we post something, it goes all across the country. And for this one, we saw that over 500 vendors actually took a look at our solicitation. We do have the ability when we're doing something to let different businesses that are local know that we have something that's going to be out there, but you're absolutely right. It is up to them. And I think our athletic director does a good job at making sure the vendors that he's accustomed to working with know when we're doing these things. So very good question.
So
but
he
you're
does
absolutely right.
he does reach out to our local businesses.
Yes, to my knowledge, he does.
Yeah, because there's okay, and I'm not looking at all of them. Am I looking at all of them that put in for these RFPs?
Yes, these are all the ones that responded to the RFP. And the other thing too is that one of the things about doing business with a government agency, doing business with our organization, we're kind of a large organization. So sometimes you reach out to companies and they just cannot fit the bill in terms of the order. So it really is up to them whether they want to put in a proposal, because the worst thing that they can do is say, I can do this, I want to do this, and then they can't supply the need. So a lot of times we do find, because we do doing business with LCC seminars for the vendor community so they can understand how to get in touch with us, how to respond to our solicitations. But at the end of the day, a lot of times they'll look at it and say, I don't necessarily know if I can fill that order in that time frame. I don't know necessarily if I have that product, or I don't know necessarily if I have the breadth of product that you're looking for, or the lead time that you're looking for, or even the economies of scale pricing that you're looking for. So those are the things that they have to think about before they even respond to a solicitation. But those are things that our purchasing department does. They host these. It's on our website. Anybody can come to these seminars to find out how to do business with us.
I did have a follow-up, but if you wanted to ask your question.
We are limited to, I guess, are we limited to working only with companies that are registered as government vendor contractors?
We are limited to vendors that are registered in the BidNet system. And so part of the education effort is letting people know where to register, but also because we have a really great website, anybody that's interested in doing business with LCC, they can go on our website and they can find out anything they need to know. They can even see sample contracts. They can know when they can come in and ask questions. They have contact information to our purchasing department. So there's so many things that they have access to if they're interested.
Thank you.
I guess my last question in this is, so without going into a lot of detail, how is the decision made to go with, is it lowest bid? Are we just looking at the lowest price? Are we giving special consideration to maybe our local businesses, or no?
Well, every solicitation is different, but in general, we have a request for a proposal format. And so within that format, it tells the vendor community, this is how we're going to evaluate you up front So they already know what we're looking for, whether it's about the product that you have available, what our delivery expectations are, and the fact that we expect you to agree to our terms and conditions. So people know upfront exactly what they're going to be judged on. And for these vendors, when we do a multiple award like this, the requirements are not that difficult. I'll just be honest with you for something like this, especially when we're looking for brand names and we're saying, okay, who can supply this? Who can supply that? So it's very much, it's not the most difficult request for proposals. Some of them, there's more things that you have to do. You have to have certain, well, with all of them, you have to have certain insurance requirements, but some of them, we want you to have certain product specifications, certain quality. You need to have a specific amount of experience delivering the product and service to a similar institution or company to our size. But all of that information is given to vendors upfront so they know ahead of time what they're going to be judged on, what the requirements are, and it's equal playing field. They get an opportunity to fill it out. And we do have the ability at the end of the day, if we have, say, two companies, one is in another state and one is in Michigan, part of our standard terms and conditions says that we reserve the right to look at our regional economy and make a decision that supports that versus the other. So we do have that ability baked into every single one of our solicitations.
Great, thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Duncan, will you take the roll?
Robert Proctor, Terry Frazier, Lawrence Odago,
Yes.
LaShonda Thomas, Samantha Babe.
Yes.
Angela Matthews, Noel Garcia.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now we are on number 11 of the agenda, monthly monitoring report. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Chair Matthews. Now we're to item A, the 2025 to 2035 Campus Master Plan. So while I introduce this item, I would like to see if Dr. Samuel or Chris McCurst would like some framing comments before we invite our consultants up. And I would just make one really big framing comment. It's really important with all the external changes in our environment, how higher education is changing, how our region is changing, the changing demographics of mid-Michigan, that we look far out into our facilities use. And that's why we have been engaging in this 10-year campus master planning process. So before we bring our consultants up, anything, Dr. Samuel or Dr. McCursey?
The only thing I will say is that the campus master plan is really a result of our strategic plan that we have. Our current strategic plan spoke to the college putting together very specific planning documents, and the campus master plan was one of those documents. And just one of the things that you'll find out as we go through this presentation, and we've spoken about it before, was that there was a lot of engagement from the LCC community in terms of understanding what direction we needed to go to with our facilities. And so I just like to thank everyone for their participation, not just with the survey, but coming in person. It's so appreciated to receive that type of feedback from our employees, students, and community.
Thanks, Dr. Samuel. Very excited to bring the team here tonight. They did some impressive things, new benchmarks. So our student survey, we got 1,900 respondents, which is an all-time benchmark, including major universities. So kudos to the team for that. Also, the team worked very closely with Shunk Moreland and our current strategic planning team to incorporate as much of that feedback as possible into the campus master plan that's been presented to you. The other thing that I would point out is that the campus master plan does not bind you to anything. It is a draft plan, and there's two things that must happen at the board before anything can be moved forward or executed. So A, you have to approve it as part of the capital outlay project request, and it also the funding has to be approved. So those two things have to happen before anything that you read in here moves forward.
If I could add onto that, that's a great explanation, Chris. That means well into the future. So if there's a planned transaction, decommission or renovation in this document to happen in 3 or 4 years, in that time frame, the board would have to fund and act upon that. So you're not bound to any future action by the consideration of this report.
Aye. And my question is regarding, and I'm with you, I've got the campus master plan, the right one before me this time. I want to go to Dart Auditorium. And I think it's on page 54 of the campus master plan. So it says here that some renovations took place in 2023. And the project remains a priority for the college, so on and so forth. I'd like to know how many, if you have this data, how many community organizations has opted to hold their functions in the Dart Auditorium since the renovations? Is there data on that or
I'm
not?
sure that we can get that to you.
Okay. Okay. And the reason I ask is because I know I hear that our theater program uses it quite a bit. But I'm wondering, I know in past times that the community saw the Dot Auditorium as a jewel, as a place for a small to medium size facility to house, some community engagements, plays and so on and so forth. And so I just wanted to know, has there been an increase in the community using it?
We expect there's going to be an increase in use, and we had two things. One, it was a bit outdated with the size of the seating was narrow. We had some fairly major HVAC issues that we need to work on, which thankfully with one of the positive outcomes out of COVID and the HERF dollars was our ability to completely renovate the HVAC system. And then after that to really redo the interior and put more contemporary size seating. And so we're expecting significantly greater use overall of DART moving forward.
Okay. It's very nice. The renovations are very nice. And I guess there will be some major marketing to the community for the usage of the facility. I would imagine that's going to happen.
I think it's on Conference Services webpage, but if it's not, we can get it there.
Okay. That's my question. Trustee Bates.
So I'm sorry, remind me your names again. Tanae? Is it okay to address?
I was going to introduce them and bring them up.
Never mind, sorry, jumping the gun.
Okay, so without any further ado, I want to introduce the team. So first, I'm going to start out with Angela Robinson, who works for Colliers. Previously, Bergman. Angela's worked for a couple of different engineering firms and has done a lot of work at LCC, so she's very familiar with us. And recently, most famous for bringing JMZ architects and planners to the team and bringing them to LCC. So Angela, we are grateful to you and to the Colliers team. So thank you.
Thank you.
So next is Tanae Casaccio. She is the president of JMZ. So we got the top dog of the firm to work with LCC. She's got over 30 years experience working with colleges and universities across the nation, doing specifically long-term campus master planning. It's been a great pleasure to work with her and her colleague, Beth Devine, one of the senior planners on this project. So we bring them here to present to you. And with that, I will turn that over to the consultants.
Thanks, Chris. Nice to see you all again. 62 degrees today, sunny in Lansing. Boy, it makes me want to move to Michigan. I want to begin our very brief presentation with similar thanks. Dr. Robinson and his team, this has been a top-notch experience for us. As Chris is right, we have worked all over the country, more than 100 colleges and universities in 15 states. And names that you'd recognize like Dartmouth and Cornell and LSU and University of Alabama. And I can say very sincerely that the folks that participated in this plan, the dedication that they have to the college, the quality of the programs that you have here, the amazing facilities that you offer to students, really some of the nicest people that we have ever met, the most dedicated to student success. And it's really been a pleasure for us. So thank you for having us. We will begin with a maybe a green light. That's okay. I can just use the old fashioned clicker. No? Oh, okay, great. We're going to do a quick overview of the master plan process. We know you still have quite an agenda in front of you. We'll talk a bit about the perfect alignment between this facilities and campus master plan and your emerging strategic plan. And then Beth will cover the recommended capital projects at a very high level. Feel free, if we get to one of the buildings that you're most interested in, please stop us. We're glad to provide the detail while we're doing it. This has been a little bit over a year-long process. The resulting campus master plan builds on the good work that's been done before we came to this campus. You've been excellent stewards of your facilities. You know, oftentimes when we create campus master plans, there will be millions of dollars in deferred maintenance. It's not exciting to report that. I'm pleased to say that you've done an excellent job maintaining your facilities. So all we're doing is looking forward now. The purpose of this plan is to position the college to meet future demands through strategic infrastructure investments, space optimization, and community building initiatives. The plan isn't just about the physical improvements. It integrates academic goals, ensuring that the campus evolves in step with the college's mission. We work closely with Dr. Samuel and her team and the LCC strategic planning consultant to ensure that this campus master plan and the new strategic plan were in lockstep. Space optimization was an overriding theme of this plan. Both of the plans prioritize streamlining processes and resources for more efficient and effective operations. The master plan focuses on reconfiguring and reallocating spaces to better serve academic and operational needs, while the strategic plan supports this by emphasizing the importance of efficient resources across all areas of the college. We focused on specialized space needs. We have a bent towards renovation. Renovation first, it's the most sustainable thing that we can do. So we're only recommending new construction when facilities can't be renovated to accommodate programmatic needs. So specialized space needs, both plans recognize the need to address specific space requirements for specialized programs. The master plan identifies areas where new and updated facilities are needed. And the strategic plan complements this by emphasizing the importance of offering relevant academic programs that meet the needs of students and of the workforce in the surrounding region. Rebuilding a sense of community. Community is at the heart of both of these plans. We emphasize the importance of fostering that sense of community, and you'll see that as we talk about the consolidation of facilities. Reimagining older buildings and coming up with creative solutions for remodernizing, repurposing, and really planning for the future so that these buildings can serve academic and student support needs in the coming decades. And the campus footprint. The ideal physical layout of the campus is generally explored in both plans. The master plan proposes consolidating underutilized spaces and redefining the edges of what the downtown campus is. And the strategic plan also supports that vision by stressing the importance of a cohesive and adaptable campus that promotes academic and community growth. And as was mentioned, the master plan, the strategic plan, and the financial plan, all woven together and working hand in hand. So the plan includes several transformative capital projects, those that will come in front of you for funding eventually. Among them is the renovation of the Gannon building, which will shift some of underutilized classroom space so that we can focus those areas on student services and arts engagement. The early learning children's community no longer serves childcare purposes and will be reimagined as the hub for financial services and the Small Business Development Center. Meanwhile, the Health and Human Services building will introduce state-of-the-art simulation labs for the growing health sciences programs. And then finally, upgrades to the West Campus and the Mason Aviation Center will provide advanced learning environments for technical and aviation programs. Beth is going to give you a brief overview of the major campus recommendations.
So the administration building, we didn't have a lot of recommendations for the administration building. We did find that it would be ideal to move the LCC foundation to the administration building because of this close partnership with the president's office. So we discussed moving academic affairs out and the LCC foundation in. And just, yes, go ahead.
So where in this building? Sorry, where in this building would you do this?
So it's on the second floor. So the second floor, it's in the academic affairs suite now. They would come out and you'll see later on, they will be moving to the technology and learning center. So really there wouldn't be a lot of renovation that would be needed in this suite. It would really almost be move in, move out. So it would require minimal amount of money. This is just a need that we heard from some other staff members that this would be a more ideal location for the foundation. And just to orient you to the, go ahead.
Shared support space, is that, can you speak to what that is?
That would be the break room, the copy room, yes. Yeah. And just to orient you to the slides, obviously we have the name of the building on the top of the slide with the proposed floor plan, the amount of area that the renovations would require, and then each of the master plan themes that these renovations would touch on. Arts and Sciences building. As Tanae discussed, we were going to be moving some of the classroom instruction out of Gannon and moving it to Arts and Sciences. If you look in the campus master plan report, we did an analysis of the classroom utilization in Arts and Science and in Gannon building. And we found that Arts and Sciences could absorb almost all of the classroom instruction that took place in Gannon. So there is some capacity for Arts and Sciences to take some of that instruction. Another planned renovation was the Office of Empowerment Centers would expand behind the current Chavez. Okay. 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 Behind the current Office of Empowerment there on the first floor of the Arts and Sciences building. And so that would be taking over 2 classrooms. And that was a planned renovation that came from the college. Any questions on Arts and Sciences? Next, the early learning children's community. We had multiple plans for this one. But the one we decided on was moving financial services over from Washington Court Place, and as well as the Small Business Development Center. Early learning children's community, regardless of what was going in there, was going to need a complete renovation since there are miniature toilets, miniature sinks. So it was going to need a complete renovation anyway. So we thought that this would be some ideal offices, financial services, because it's close to the administration building, and the Small Business Development Center, just because it would be on the outskirt of campus and be easy for community members to navigate to. Gannon building. Gannon building has a lot going on. There were a significant amount of planned renovations already in the works, like the athletics event space, the African American Commemoration Lounge, the locker room renovations, the transfer center, the student lounge on the first floor. So the renovations that we were suggesting were renovations that would be help vacate some of the buildings that are on the outskirt of campus that you will see later we'll be recommending divestment of. So we're trying to empty out those buildings to make them available to put up for sale.
So that would be moving administrative services and veteran services out of those buildings and moving into Gannon.
No, got it.
Okay. Oh, sure.
I just have a question about the early learning children's community. How many, do you know how many it would be able to hold at one time once it's renovated?
How many offices?
Individuals, offices, or?
So we did a pretty kind of brief layout to verify that all of the offices currently held by financial services and the Small Business Development Center could fit in the space. We did a little test fit to make sure that they could fit with a little room for growth. And I don't remember the number off the top of my head.
Okay, so if the community does come in and out, is it going to be comfortable for staff and community, or is it going to be tight?
I think you mean if they come in to use the space.
Mhm.
Yes, there's a large conference room there that will welcome the community, so they could use that. That was programmed in.
Okay, thank you.
Back to Gannon. In addition to vacating some of those outskirt buildings, we also heard that attending performances in the Black Box Theater, getting to the performance, just felt uncomfortable. So there is a larger room in front of the Black Box Theater that we were suggesting converting into an art gallery and convening space. So before performances, people could see maybe student art and just have a more comfortable place to wait for a performance. And then this would also, we heard some concerns about the music labs, had a lot of noise. So we're talking about relocating those and making them purpose-built music labs with correct soundproofing, everything that would be needed. We're moving veteran services over from Huron, giving them a much nicer, more updated space for them. So this is all very detailed in the report. We just wanted to do a kind of brief overview. I know that there's a lot going on that floor plan, so. Sure. No, you're good.
Can you just refresh our memory? You said we need a veteran,
So veteran services is coming from Huron and is going in the green on the floor plan right there. So currently in that location, there are some communication, media, and arts offices as well as conference services. So we would just kind of be swinging communication, media, and arts over, so all their offices are in one line. And the conference services, there is an open space, dark pink there, I guess, color, and we would be moving them over there, actually closer to the Michigan room, so it might actually be more convenient for them to be a little closer.
I think one of the significant advantages to moving veteran services to this location is it's a ground floor location. It's accessible. It is now co-located with other student services, so it's not an other location, and really integrates veteran services in the heart of campus.
And this was not
Excuse me?
No. A lot going on in the kitchen.
I know.
Yeah. Yes.
Madam Chair, I wonder, did you factor in security? I assume you did when you did that, because I feel like it's a lot going on and the exits are not necessarily right there, entrance and exiting purposes, so.
Yes, we're not actually adding any significant load on the building in terms of, for code purposes, the number of exits that would be required. In fact, I would argue that putting more there is probably more secure than having less. If you imagine the Huron building is standalone building, and having veteran services there as opposed to the core of campus where there's more activity. I think would actually be a safer location for them. If you were speaking of veteran services specifically.
Just all of it, but yes, just, okay.
Any other questions about Gannon? Health and Human Services. This is a building that we looked into pretty heavily. When we first started this campus master plan, I remember the simulation suite was pegged to go over to 505. We looked at the space utilization of this building. We looked at the amount of vacant space in the building. And we found that the simulation suite could be in the building, which would make the most sense because it would be those students using it. They wouldn't have to cross a busy street, and it would help you not duplicate services across the street. So moving the simulation suite here, I think saved a significant amount of money and time. And then we're just talking about doing a full building refresh and just, yes. I think it was about a $4 million savings. It was pretty significant.
And Chair Matthews, if I could interject very briefly on this, this will remain one of my anecdotes about why it is sometimes really important to bring in an external consultant to help you see things differently. We have some of the best space planners in the business working day to day at LCC. And as you all know, as trustees, we were forging ahead with preliminary plans to put SIM in 505. And it really took an external pair of eyes to say, hey, wait a minute, you might be sitting on a resource that you might want to see a different way. And this particular part of the plan is one of those things where the consultants helped us reframe.
And Dr. Robinson, I applaud you for having the courage to change course there. I know that it's not easy, but I think, as you said one time, it's just called leadership. Mackinac Building, this is another plan also that was already taking form before we started the campus master plan. And that is talking about getting theater and dance over from the academic and office facility and putting them in a building next to Dart Auditorium where they would be the props and the scenes shop and all those things needed to be co-located with that building. So it gets them into the core of campus. It would get them into newly renovated purpose-built space. And it would make them feel more a part of the campus community as opposed to where they are currently. Technology and Learning Center. So there is a pretty significant open space on the 4th floor of the Technology and Learning Center. Currently, there are some library services offices there. We found that we can kind of move all the library services offices so they can still be there, but then we would also add the Center for Data Science, some offices from business operations, academic affairs, which would be coming from the administration building, public relations, and some office space for the archivists. This is a perfect example of bringing the highest and best utilization to space that you already have. So this was a bit of an Easter egg hunt for us, but to find this and know that this was available allowed us to decant buildings on the edge of campus. University Center, this was also another plan that was already in place or already in the works when we started the campus master plan. And it would be utilizing the University Center for K through 12 operations, starting an autism initiative, early college, homeschooling, and just really being a community outreach space. It's an ideal location for that with, adjacent parking, and it could be a secure building because it would be all those services in one, and there wouldn't be anyone else coming in and out of that building. So with regard to,
so with regards to homeschool classroom, I think that's ingenious. I don't know who came up with it.
Yes.
Dr. Lesko?
Yes.
Yes, very ingenious.
Yes.
And I say this is because there's been conversations where there are parents who are homeschooling their children, but it's not really the educational environment where it gets them excited with regards to school. That's ingenious.
Yeah. This brings us to West Campus. West Campus, the main building, there was already some planned renovations for bathrooms and cybersecurity. We found that the public safety offices needed a little bit of an update. There's a digital welcome center would be a nice addition to the front entrance of the building. And the greenhouse could be used for a new program for unmanned aerial systems. And then there is a underutilized lab that is actually now being used for construction and really just formalizing that that can now be their lab with the tall ceiling space that they need. But yep, they do. Yes.
The lineman's poles that you guys won't let us climb for safety reasons, are moving into an enclosed space. Yes? Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yes, good segue. So over by the pole yard, there is going to be the Energy and Utility Training Center. It will have some indoor classrooms, mechanical room, toilets, and some indoor poles for inclement weather, so the classes can still continue. Thank you.
Actually, can you just, oh, it's this tiny little blue box up in the right.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Very modest. Yes. 11,000 square feet.
In this building here, it's just one floor?
Yeah, yes, with very tall ceilings.
So you're taking all of the electrical and the LEJATC and the lineman, and that's not all fit in the space?
No, it is, it's just going to be for the lineman program. It's really just a support. They're calling it the Energy and Utility Training Center, but it's just going to be a support building for the linemen.
What I think Trustee Hidalgo is talking about is the other electrical apprentice journeyman, the TEC would stay where it is.
Yes, correct.
It wouldn't need to move.
Can you back up one slide, please?
Sure.
So, us trustees don't go through these buildings on a daily basis, so I'm trying to get so where the public safety offices in the green is that currently?
Yes, it's currently, it's just, we just pegged them for renovation.
So where's the front of the building there?
The Digital Welcome Center would be the main entrance
Gotcha.
there.
Okay, yep. All right, now I know where I'm at. And so what is this saying, that you're going to move the public safety offices?
No.
Keep them there?
No, it's just
renovate them.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
How old is West Campus?
2004. 2004.
20 years? Yeah. 20 years, right? Time flies. All right. Lastly would be Mason Aviation Center. We're talking about building just a pretty similar building to the one that's already there. Their utilization for their classrooms was some of the highest at all of LCC. We heard there's a wait list for their program. So it would be easier to build another building than to attempt to try and add on to that building. So it would be just a very similar building to the one that's already there to help them support a growing program.
Is that added on so they moved, or is it a separate building?
It's a separate, and this is just concept. So in theory, it could be, there could be a connector piece, there could be, but this is just, high level. Okay, so when I was here with you in June, we talked about the potential for a divestment of facilities on the downtown campus and consolidating and adding really a sense of community and rebuilding what occurred before the pandemic, bringing people back together in the heart of campus and reinvigorating downtown. So moving occupants from the underutilized buildings that you see on the edge to existing space not only improves space utilization, but it also reduces operating costs and allows for more efficient resource allocation in the future. So in line with this strategy, 5 parking lots located on the periphery of the downtown campus footprint have been identified for divestment. With the construction of the Gannon ramp, those parking lots are no longer necessary. And 2 of the lots are associated with buildings that are suggested for divestment. So it makes sense to do those at the same time. Other parking lots will be retained, particularly the ones closest to the University Center, as they will help support future programming and community access to the campus. This approach of divestment, of tucking the campus back in around the core, optimizes space usage and aligns with the broader goal of creating a more dynamic and engaging campus environment, which will ultimately benefit the entire college community. So this is a repeat of the master plan themes: optimizing existing space, consolidating campus footprint, rebuilding that sense of community, reimagining older buildings, and addressing specialized space needs through new construction only when necessary. This reflects and amplifies the college's strategic priorities. By consolidating the campus footprint, the campus plan directly supports the goals for financial stability and operational efficiency. Additionally, you've heard a lot from us about student-centered and student-focused spaces. These contribute, we know, to better academic outcomes and student retention. The plan also emphasizes community engagement, envisioning spaces that foster partnerships. You've heard about us making sure that the public can get to the campus from these edges now, and that allows the college to continue to thrive as it interacts with the larger Lansing community. With that, may I address any additional questions that you have?
Thank you. So first off, I want to say that I really appreciated the intense and lengthy discussion that we had back in June. It was a lot, and you all have clearly put a lot of work into this. I'm a pretty big graph nerd, so I appreciate all the charts and graphs, especially the one on page 15 with the space utilization.
Yes.
Overall, I do believe that this is a very bold plan, and I think that it's excellent. I think it is very future forward. On a more like micro level, I love the idea to create that gallery by the black box because it is creepy going down there. It is. The Mackinac building, I like all the changes that you're making there. I'm going to echo Chair Matthews when I say the homeschool space is also ingenious. I know we're not voting on this tonight, but if we were, it would have my vote. My only thought, if you could go back one slide, this is probably a very expensive suggestion, but I'm going to make it anyway. When I was getting my master's in DU, we had a pretty major road that ran through campus. And so they connected the second floors of 2 buildings with a sort of like tunnel thing that you could walk through. And I'm just wondering, you know, if it's financially reasonable or helpful to do something like that, especially with Michigan winters when we do have those 2 buildings on the upper left-hand side that we could connect.
Yes.
My only other piece is we do have a president who made a big deal by getting wind power installed at a previous campus. So I'm just going to continue to keep throwing out that he could continue that legacy. Otherwise, amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. To your point about I noticed all kinds of bridges all over Lansing, and I imagine not used so much on a day like today, but in February probably comes in very handy. One of the challenges we see here is we would be connecting arts and sciences to the university center. If we were to dedicate the university center to outreach programs, it wants to be standalone. So in the future, maybe in your next campus master plan, another 10 years down the road, if the university center were to be something that students were accessing every day, that type of overhead connection would be very handy.
Thank you, Chair. Do you know what the total savings would be when this all takes place? How much would we save overall?
That's an excellent question. And we could not say for certain. We know inherently that removing square footage from your inventory and not having to heat and cool and insure those types of buildings will save funds, but we have not been able to put a finger on that. It would be a great follow-on study to look sort of from a financial standpoint at what this does. I will also mention that the sale of buildings, none of this was predicated on, we weren't quoting savings based on funds the college would receive by selling buildings. We're not real estate agents. We don't know the market, but we do know space, and we know inherently less space costs less to run.
Chair Matthews, if I could add a footnote to the idea of decanting or selling buildings. The same thing that we said about future expenditures or renovations, about future board approval, would also apply to the sale of real estate. Actually, by statute, you as the trustees are the acting party, would have to act on a real estate sale. So there would be a lot of analysis and board action prior to any decommissioning of buildings.
May I add just one more thing? You mentioned that it is a bold plan, and no institution ever completes its campus master plan before it's time to do another one. 10 years, to do all of this in 10 years would be significant. It's important that we all head in that direction so that the college knows when it's making decisions that it's eventually moving to the right place. But I suspect that you'll be doing another master plan soon. And just as you meet annually to review your strategic plan, and as a board, look at the progress that you've made and decide if a slight turn left or right might be helpful, I would encourage you to do the same for the campus master plan. Revisit it every year. Review the projects that you've completed. Think about the relevancy of the projects that were recommended here, and just keep charging forward. Thank you very much.
Chair Matthews, and thank you, trustees, for those great conversations. One little capstone comment about that. It is very interesting to be engaging in the time horizon of a decade. And so a lot of this planning of, we will do this, this will go here, we're really thinking out well into the future, and I appreciate you getting into that kind of creative space. So thank you, trustees. Next on the monthly monitoring. Oh, yes.
I'm not done.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
I'm sorry. Can you go back to the West Campus where we're talking to Lyman? I'm still confused. I'm not understanding in our master plan, we had a proposal for a new building for the utility systems, the electrical and those folks. And then this building here that we're talking about for the linemen to be able to do work inside. So is that two different buildings we're talking about, or?
Yes. Chris, you want to talk about the new proposed building? It's much more than a pole barn.
Right. So I'm happy to address that. So that facility out in the pole yard, that is the same as your capital outlay project request that's going forward. And for more program details, there's a fair amount of program detail that's in there on your capital outlay project request, but I would defer to Dean Dwyer about specifics of programming that are going to go in there. So it's more than just line worker program. There's additional capacity to do other utility and energy related programming in there, not displacing our current folks in our agreement with LJAP.
I guess reading all this, I thought I had an understanding that there was a new building being built and what we currently had and all the electrical was heading out there. And is that not what we're discussing?
So I would defer to the provost and the instructional team for programming.
Dean Dwyer come up and talk to you about it, but we're running out of capacity to do the electrical program in the building. And so some of the courses are going to go out there to help with that capacity, but not the LJAC program.
Yeah, that is correct. So we are planning to have, if we can go back one, I just want to show you Trustee Hidalgo, solar energy, our solar power generation. It's one of the classes that we're going to be offering, as well as underground splicing. Nope, you go for it. Yep, that's it. So we plan on having about 3. You had it right. There you go, Patrick. 3 labs that's going to be out there that will cover underground splicing, our indoor instruction for line work with poles indoors, so we can do year-round instruction, as well as power generation. And that is just an extension of the electrical program because we have grown out the building. So we're going to offer that as well, just having one energy and utility training, but there will be classes inside of the building still, programming inside of the building as well. Focusing on electricity, I'm just trying to think of the name of the class. But it's still going to be inside West Campus, I'm sorry. So this is just an extension because we have just grown.
But we're not talking about another building besides this. We're talking about taking some of the electrical courses and bringing here and.
Some of them will, yeah.
And keep
Some of them, yeah,
current
that's correct. Yep.
electrical in the.
In
main
West,
building.
inside the building, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
While we're back on this slide, if you look at the map in the upper right-hand corner, there's the blue box with the line that shows this building, but then there's another tiny blue box above it. What's the other tiny blue box?
Oh, that's the existing pole barn right now. That's our poles out there right now.
Okay, so it's not something we're building.
No, we're going to be upgrading some of that, right, Chris?
It needs some help to be optimally functional.
Okay, but it's an existing structure.
Yes, currently right now, our poles are out there right now. Yep, it's already, that's our outdoor only.
Okay, thank you.
Deals with some of the classes. We did, they were running on a generator, but we've changed that now. So we put full service out there, electrical outlets, lighting, that type of thing. It's used storage, primarily for storage, but it's also used for some of the activities they do. That we may keep, or it may just become a storage, a further storage unit. But what you're talking about right here, that building we're going to build, that's where the linemen will go. There'll be holes inside. In fact, we have a great picture of it in the capital outlay of what we're looking for. So if you look on that, that'll show you.
I just want to say, stay away from the pole barn. Y'all keep talking about this pole barn. Stay out of the pole barn, okay? Stay out. For now.
Yeah, I think I have a better understanding of all this if I saw it from the top of one of the lineman poles. So maybe if I was up there, it would be easier for me to understand.
We need to come out there and serve. We need a field trip.
Come on out there. We welcome you out there. We're just not gonna let you climb the poles. Not even the bucket trucks.
Any further questions, colleagues? Thank you.
Hey,
Appreciate all the dialogue on that, Chair Matthews. The cover sheet for this says presented for information. Could I ask the team, was the intention that this was for information, or was there a request to have the trustees vote on the campus master plan?
I believe in the past that we did vote on it. And so I think that was the original intention. I think this was presented in September for information only for first read. And then this time, the expectation was that there would be a vote. We can bring it back in November if we need to, but.
Well, if I could, maybe I could just ask Chair Matthews and we could defer that, but given the intense conversation we have and the understanding that this doesn't lock the board into any future transactions, I wonder, Chair Matthews, if you'd entertain a vote of approval of the campus master plan tonight, or if you'd rather do that another time.
Also, it was pulled last month, so today, this month is the first read. We did not. You
Oh,
pulled.
so this is technically the first.
Oh, you pulled it. Okay,
Then
that's
then
why
I
it says
withdraw
that.
my question.
I'd rather have Proctor.
Yeah, I withdraw my question then. Thank you. And again, thank you again for the robust dialogue on this really important stuff. Yep, very good. Next, Chair Matthews, in the packet is the Board of Trustees Annual Ends Report. If you are, the packet is big tonight, so it's part 5 of 5. If I could make a little framing comment about this. This is a report that I inherited when I came to LCC, but with Benita Duncan and the board's input, over the years, we've tweaked this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Over the years, we've tweaked this to make it more user-friendly for trustees. It's also because it is a report using success metrics and key performance indicators on our board ends. It's also the bulk of my evaluation as president. So the team spent a lot of time putting this together, and it appears as section 5. And I know that the team is here to answer any questions. You obviously be looking at it when you conduct my annual performance review. But Provost Welch, the folks in CDS, and frankly, the whole campus has put a lot of data into this report tracking our key metrics. So Provost Welch, do you have anything you want to add about the annual monitoring report?
We're happy with the changes that we've been able to do over the last couple of years. We think it's more readable and hopefully helpful to the board to understand the work that the college does. It really was a team that put this report together. I'm very happy and grateful to their work in this, and I look forward to questions. Seeing none.
While folks are looking at the report, Chair Matthews, I do have one other additional thing, and I do comment about this in terms of my review. Last year, you'll note that we borrowed some language from the Higher Learning Commission. And when the metrics were technically passing but not up to our standards, we used an accreditation standard we call met with concerns. We basically used what the HLC says when they find metrics that are headed in the right way but are not all the way there. And so we did that in 2 areas last year. You'll note that there is one area, particularly about student success outcomes in particular subject matter, particularly as we disaggregate student data. It's such a core value of our institution to approach student success with equity that we were not comfortable saying met. We said met with concern because there's still work to be done. So I wanted to highlight that as well. There were 2 areas like that last year. There's 1 this year.
I just want to let my colleagues know that with the upcoming strategic plan is that we're going to be looking at the board ends. However, what we're looking at come November 9th is not this. Okay, I just want to bring clarity to that. Yes, ma'am.
What is the target goal what is the target goal when it comes to recruiting students? Do we have a goal? Has anything changed over time from the last one or?
You're asking about the anticipated enrollment each year? So I'm going to answer two ways. So Dr. Robinson specifically talks about he's not worried about head count. He's worried about making sure that the quality of the education our students get is top notch. So we put a lot of our priority there. In one of the documents that we turn in for HLC is called a Strategic Enrollment Management Plan. And in that plan, we said we would increase enrollment by 5% over the next 5 years. That was an ambitious goal for us because the last 5 years we've had a decrease in enrollment. And we think we bottomed it out in terms of the impact of COVID, and we're rebounding now. In a really great way, we've already reached the 5% this fall because we have a 6% increase, but we're going to continue to try and increase by 1% every year.
Thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Trustee.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of a different document, but I feel like when we get this, there's normally on the first page a little blurb from the president. No, is that a different?
That is not typically in this report.
Is that just the one you give us for your evaluation?
Yeah, thank you. If I could, Chair Matthews, I have one for this year. I do a brief executive summary about my own performance because, as you know, our board governance documents say that the institution's performance is synonymous with my performance as CEO. So I do have a short self-evaluation to give you all as my supervisor. Yes.
And let the clarity be, board ends are board ends.
Right.
It belongs, the board ends 100 to 104 belongs to the board. And it's a board that aligns, when you bring the strategic plan and the board ends that should align. Now, because the strategic plan there has been changed to the mission statement, I think vision, that's why we need a refresh and a review. So this is perfect for the clarity of why we're doing the refresh and the review. Trustee Thomas.
This may be off topic a little bit. When students are on academic probation, is there a plan, action plan to help them get them out of that, or how does that work?
We do it in two ways. So first, we reduce the number of credits that they can take in the following term that they're put on probation, so that we can make sure that they're successful in the courses they choose to take. And then we have the success coaches usually set up a plan with the students on what they're going to do to make sure they're successful the following semester.
How soon are they? I know we've had this conversation before. How soon are they contacted before they are in the probation status? Like, is it caught earlier, or is it when they're in the probation academic status? Is that when it's caught, or is it sooner where the success coaches, reach out, kind of do what they're there to do?
We have an academic alert process. And what that means is that a faculty member, if they think a student is struggling in a class for either academic reasons or maybe there's a life challenge, they'll file an academic alert form, which is sent directly to the success coaches who will reach out to the students. If the form says that the students need tutoring, then it goes directly to the tutoring, so it'll branch off. So the success coaches will get it, but also tutors. We're trying to speed up the process of reaching out to the students so that we can get them into the services that they need as soon as possible.
Okay. I bring that up because, as you all know, I'm very popular, let's say, in the community. I get a lot of hearsay, and that's something that continues to come up. Like, there are quite a few students in this position, so I just wanted to make sure that we are getting ahead of it and fixing the issue, you know, and giving them a chance. Do we know what's causing it? I know there is a lot of reasoning, but have we narrowed down why this is happening so much?
So the students, if they have a job change or they have a life change at home, maybe there's a parent that they have to take care of, they lose transportation and they have a face-to-face class. Those are some of the common things that we see happening in there, or they might be having trouble with the actual content area. So there's a lot of different reasons, and I don't think we can narrow it down to one particular reason. So once the semester gets done, so I'll finish answering the first question. We have something called grade roll, and from grade roll,
what is it?
It's called grade roll. So all the grades for the semester are rolled, and they can look at a student's GPA, and they can see whether the student needs to move to academic probation, or if they go from academic probation back into good standing.
Okay. Thank you.
Apart from that, Chair Matthews, this is the annual monitoring report, again, presented for information. And appreciate your questions. These are kind of questions that we answer all year. And again, to Trustee Vave's comment, these are the board ends, but they're also the criteria on which you evaluate me as the president. So you have those for that process. So thank you. Any more? Because we have, next is the monthly financial statements. Now Don is joining by Webex. I usually ask if, did I hear something? No, I thought I heard something. Usually I ask to see if Don has any framing comments about the annual, the monthly financials, which are in your board packet.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. As you can see, we're early in the new fiscal year. We're at the end of the first quarter, and this is the first internal financial statements that the board has seen for the new fiscal year. So, excuse me. It's a little early to make any assumptions about where we're going to end up for next fiscal year. Obviously, we are reviewing things already. Members of ELT have furnished financial services with their estimates for the end of the fiscal year in terms of their expected expenses. We're in the process of analyzing that. Of course, we do know that we have a very positive fall semester in terms of enrollment, up about 6% over last year. So at this point in time, things are looking favorable, but we've got a long way to go until the end of the fiscal year. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Hi, Don. I don't have any questions. I would just like to make a suggestion in that in the first part of the report, which talks about operating statement line items, revenue, appropriations 1 through 4, if that could be colored, like maybe highlighted in yellow. Sometimes in reading a lot of, the board packet, things just, it looks alike. And so just to bring our attention to that, to those numbers would be great. If you could.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely take a look at that and for next month's board meeting.
Any other questions about the monthly financials, Chair Matthews?
I don't have any further questions or suggestions. Does anyone else? No.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on monthly monitoring is the monthly public safety report. I like saying what I say about this report. It's very transparent. We have an excellent police department. We publish all these citizen contact transactions in a very transparent way. I really like the way the board engages with the chief, the deputy chief, and the whole department. Deputy chief is here tonight and able to answer any questions.
So I think this report has more custodial arrests than every report we've received prior combined. And I'm just wondering, I mean, they all seem very reasonable, but have you noticed a change in atmosphere on campus? Do you think there's a reason that this is happening, or is it just kind of random?
Well, it's kind of a grouping of all those things, but the biggest things that our officers are getting out there deterring crime, so they're seeing more things, right? So, and there's a lot of things that happen, certain of these arrests are things that you're gonna get arrested for, right? Certain things you're not gonna just, I guess, use officer's discretion and not arrest the person for. So it's a combination of all those things you mentioned. Officers are out there, there's more things happening. Again, the weather has to do with a lot of it, so that's why it's going on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Now, our police department is fully staffed now, is that correct?
We still have one more.
Just one more?
You ready to go to the academy?
Okay, well, no. I always get caught turning on that red down there. So with that's more feet or more patrolling. So then more eyes, and then thus more reporting.
Yes. To be honest with you, I hope you get way more than this in the future.
What was that?
I hope you get way more than this in the future. That means we have more officers out protecting the campus, being seen, being visual. So in a way, it's a really good thing.
Okay. Okay, and that's important with what's happening.
Of course.
You know, on campuses and institutions to have the presence of officers is very comforting. So thank you for your presence.
No problem.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I always ask questions for me. Okay, I'm not trying to get a ticket. Disregard traffic control device, what is that?
Somebody run a stop sign, even though there's a thing called disregard stop sign. A traffic control device is a light.
Yeah.
But it's blinking red, red, yellow, green. So somebody runs it. That's what that is. They disregarded the signal.
But you guys are nitpicking.
No, if you disregard a signal or a traffic control device, you're the one who disregarded it. We're going to pull you over because you did it.
Okay.
Chair Matthews, if I could ask the deputy chief, I think I know the answer. The one reason to be more conservative in enforcing those kinds of traffic laws has to do with pedestrian safety, doesn't it, Deputy Chief?
Very true. Yep. And that's the thing with our students walking around, right, crossing the streets, going here or there, going to Quality Dairy, going to visit friends. We want to make sure that the campus is safe, right? And that's the reason why we patrol. The reason why we continue to patrol is to deter crime and so that people know that this is a safe campus.
And I think,
Inside and outside, right?
What's that?
Inside and out.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Which is the reason why we have our cadets, these people walking in and out.
and I think whenever you look at traffic tickets and patrolling, you look at some of these disposition and comments, use bike lane to turn, those are potential students that are on bikes, potential students that are pedestrians. And so that type of violation, we have little discretion on this, in my opinion, for our students to stay safe, so.
Just wanted to ask a question about number 3. Was the person number
Sleeping in mysterious.
contact number, it's contact number 3, I'm sorry. Was the person unable to access a building in order to do their business?
Nope, that person just decided to use the restroom in public. No, they didn't even give a reason as far as why you didn't go into a building. Person wanted to use it where they were and they got caught.
Okay. Contact number 9. Thank you, whoever offered to transport a stranded individual. Thank you for that. Because you never know a person's situation and what they're needing, so thank you. I think that's all questions, that's all I have. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Thank you, Chair Murphy. Thank you, Deputy Chief. Again, transparency in law enforcement, something that goes back to our equity action plan, which is a good segue to letter E, Chair Matthews. Twice a year, we do provide a report regarding employee diversity. This goes back to our equity action plan, and I'll just refresh trustees' memory that any more than 2 times a year, you won't see movement in a report like this, which is why we only do it every 6 months. In fact, sometimes even at every 6 months, we won't see movement on employee diversity. And so this is one of the months that we bring this to the board. And Dr. Samuel, I don't know if you have any other comments to make about the report regarding diversity of employees.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. So I would just add that one of the things that we're able to see with this report is something that I think is near and dear to conversations that we've had with trustees in the past, which is you see us having more and more full-time positions than part-time positions. So I think you can see that from when we first started this report. And then also when you look at the end statements that we discussed and you look at the demographics of our regional area and you look at the census data, you look at LCC employees and we match that data, not exactly perfectly in every demographic, but very close. And so I think that's something that you'll see. And just as Dr. Robinson mentioned, is that unfortunately, when we're looking at it twice a year, we're not going to see that much change. But one thing that we do get to report when we put this report together is all the wonderful things that we're doing in our human resources office to try to attract people. We had a really nice job fair this past month. And we continue to make sure that our hiring teams have inclusion advocates on them. And then we do kind of an extra step that you may not see in a lot of HR offices. And that is, if you go through an interview process, you can only choose one person for a position. And if there are people that interview for the position that really did a great job, then we go ahead and we let them know about other things that are out there that they might be interested in applying for, which I think is a really cool thing. We also work to make sure that we have specific inclusion, diversity language on all of our job applications. So when you fill out an application, it's right there for you so that you know that diversity and inclusion is important to us. And every single interview panel, there is 1 or 2 questions related to diversity and their experience working in a diverse environment. So those are some of the things that we do just to make sure that people understand that LCC cares about diversity. And we also have on our website, which I think a lot of people don't have, but we have tips for people that want to get a job with Lansing Community College. We even share sample interview questions with them. And when they come here to interview, we literally give them a piece of paper with the interview questions on it. So there's no ambiguity in what we're asking. So there's lots of things that we're doing to try to make sure that this is an attractive place to work and to make sure people are comfortable when they come in and interview with us.
I have a few questions, but I'll just ask the one right now. Is it still taking 6 months to get a call back, or has that lessened?
So I think, does it take more than 6 months to hire someone? It depends on the process. So I can give you an example of one of our positions that we have open right now. We've had, unfortunately, 3 failed searches. So for that one, yeah, you might see that it's taking 6 months before we can bring somebody into that position. So that time frame that we're talking about is the time from the posting to when you actually bring someone in. And it depends on the position as to how long it takes to bring someone in. A lot of our positions we keep posted for a long time because we know that, hey, we may not see anybody right now, but there might be someone that can come into that position later. And that's mainly with a lot of our faculty positions that they are posted for a good amount of time.
So I do appreciate on Exhibit A that we can see the increase in full-time positions. That's great news. If it is possible, you mentioned looking at the demographics compared to the greater Lansing area. If we could see that demographic breakdown on here, it might help this look like less of a bummer because it does look like a bummer. Yeah, I would. I mean, obviously you can't hire people who aren't applying for the jobs. So that's always going to be just where you get stuck. But I think that we all want to see more. I do appreciate everything But you just mentioned, I do believe that LCC goes above and beyond to help make people feel comfortable applying here and that the process, and even just giving people interview questions, so that they have them in front of them can reduce a lot of anxiety in that sort of environment. And so, yeah, I think you guys are probably doing everything that you can. That doesn't mean we don't also want to see more.
Yeah, absolutely. We've looked into best practices and we're thankful that the best practices that are out there, we're actually engaging in them. So we're pretty confident that we're doing the right things in this area. But I appreciate your question about having the demographics right next to each other for the census. So the numbers that I was looking at specifically is what was provided in our ends report that you have. And so I know they're not right next to each other, but if you were to look at that report, it would show that the current for the year 2022, in terms of white, we have 71% in our area. And if you look at LCC for employees, overall, full-time employees, we're at 74%. So you've got 71 to 74, not that big of a difference. And then if you look at Black, we have 9.1% in the census. And here at LCC, we're at 11%. So I'm not saying that these are exact, but they are close. You know, we have 8.4% Hispanic in the regional area for the census. And then for our employee base, we're at 7%. For Asian is 3.3 in the census, but then when you look at ours, we're at 3%. So we're not exactly too far off what the region is bearing. So that was with that, but we can certainly look at adding that to the report. So thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, she read my mind in that a third column there would just make it easier and more, it pop out a little bit more. Because, yeah, we can go back and look at a different report to find out what that demographic from the census is, but it'd be nice to have there to look at and compare. That's it.
So I'm looking at page 87, and it appears our attrition rate for the first 6 months of this year really was less than 1% of our employees.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, it looked like to me our attrition rate for the first 6 months comes up to a little bit less than 1% of our employees.
Yes.
So that's a good number. And if you're only losing a couple percent a year, it's going to make it tough to fix the demographics as well. You're not losing a lot of them. Very good.
That's true too. And I think many of our trustees have had the opportunity to attend our Star Awards or our Service Awards at the beginning of a year. And you notice that sometimes we have employees that have been here for 40 years. We've had employees that have been here for 40 plus years and a lot of people here for 30 years. So you're absolutely right. That's a great observation.
I get what you're saying about the demographics, but something about the numbers that just still make me feel a certain way. I don't know. And when it comes to the 1%, I'm always concerned about why they're leaving or why they left. Again, hearing from our community, I've heard good things. I've seen the awards. I've also heard not so good things from how people feel about the culture of care. It made me pull up the climate survey from 21. And I just wanted us to be reminded so that we're making sure that it's changing. I do believe it has changed, but I just want to make sure. We had 28.8% feel there aren't enough opportunities to give supervisors feedback. 20.2 believe the information from the survey will go unused. 18.6 feel that upper management should communicate better. 12.2% feel they are not treated fairly in the workplace. 8.6 feel workplace harassment is not adequately addressed. 4.6 feel there are issues with ethics in the workplace. And this is on the 21 climate survey. I know one has gone out, so I look forward to getting the results in the spring. I've also received individuals who are saying they are afraid to contact trustees because they're afraid of a retaliation. Whether this is true or not, I hope not, but just putting it out there since we're on the topic. And so I just want to make sure that we are extending grace and mercy during this time. We know that stress levels and anxiety is high during this time, especially with the election and so much more. It's just a lot going on. So I hope that from leadership on down, that we're giving mercy, especially when it comes to leadership, executive leadership, trustee, whatever. So that's my hope, that we are showing a culture of care like we claim across the board. So.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more. Chair Matthews, those are all the monthly monitoring reports.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Let me check on people who are here. How's everyone doing? Do we need to take a little break? Need a little break? No? Okay. Head shaking, no. So we'll continue to move forward. So linkage planning implementation chair's report about the recap of ACCT Leadership Conference. Before I do that, on the 14th of October, it was Indigenous People Day here in the United States, and I hope LCC celebrated students, faculty, and administration and staff and paying honor and attention to any persons identifying within this culture. On the 12th of October, LCC Michigan ACE Network held a luncheon, and for the first time, I wasn't there, bummed about it. Sorry, Dr. Samuel. However, Trustee Thomas was there representing, so I heard that it was a great luncheon as always. So thank you and all the others who work on that. Talking about the ACCT Leadership Congress that all of us attended and represented LCCT very well. This time change is no joke because they are 3 hours ahead of us. And so thank you for giving us grace that we are trying to move through this efficiently and effectively as we can with this agenda. So thank you for your patience. There was 130 sessions that was presented at this Congress. Sessions were great. A lot of AI conversations. AI is emerging. It's already being used. Our students is using it in high capacities. And so we have to, the word was that we need to catch up. And we need to get ahead of this because, again, AI is very prevalent amongst our students in the universities and the educational arena. All of us went to different classes about it. They talked about the Board of Trustees relationship with the president, which is vital. And then in one session, it was stated, you need a president who's going to fit your campus or the culture of your institution. A lot of people may want a visionary, but you may not need a visionary. You may need someone to come in and to build on what's there and to manage and or maintain what's happening. It just depends on the fit of the campus or the institution. I thought that was very, very interesting. And we have a great president, so I'm not even concerned about that visionary and so on and so forth. He came in and helped me with my presentation again. Thank you. Then we all had, and then I'll let you all speak to that. And you said it earlier, Ms. Benita and Dr. Proctor gave a great presentation together that was well received, standing room only. So kudos to you at the conference and representing LCC. So going to the, we have what's called constituency groups. There's the African American group, the Latina group, and the Alpina group. I can only speak to the African American caucus. We had a reset, a reconnect, refresh, and refocus theme is what the executive leadership. I am the president of that caucus. Trustee Thomas is assistant secretary, and there is a vice president, there's a parliamentarian, and a secretary. That was the theme. All of us are retaining our formations up until next year. So that means Trustee Thomas will retain her position with that caucus. I retain my position with the caucus. I created a new support committee called Communications Coordinator, and this is to help with the caucus so that we stay into contact and connection, and then we can also utilize the tools and resources at ACCT. Trustee Frazier was voluntold by Mother Doris Graham that he would be on that committee. So Trustee Frazier is stepping in to help out the caucus. All right. And let me see, as president of the caucus and with unanimous support, a bylaws committee was formed by 7 members of that caucus. They're going to take a look at those draft bylaws and bring those back to the caucus, and then we will review those in NLS 2025. With this caucus, it's been a long journey to mobilize and get it together, but we are on the right track. And so I am definitely appreciated. And Ms. Benita was reelected as the professional board staff executive board for the Central Region member at large. Thank you for that. Now, we come to tell you all of this because we don't want you to think that we are out there goofing around and spending money and not doing what we're supposed to do, because that's not what we do. When we go to these conferences, they are intense, and we are there to learn, to grow, and to be better trustees with the positions that we have been elected to. So we take them very seriously. Do we have, we eat a lot? No, just kidding.
No, you're not.
Well, we do. No, I'm just kidding. So we have a time to bond with the president. We have time to bond with each other and just to be people and to be just authentic and to laugh. And everybody needs to do that. So I'm hoping that you're doing that too. That when you get together with your group or your team or who's ever in your circle academically, that you power down and just be. Just be a person. Laugh, talk, relax. It does not have to be the seriousness all the time. As you can see, I told you in the beginning, I love to laugh and have fun, but we take care of business. All right. So with that, that is my report. And moving on to the foundation board report for Trustee Time.
I have a report, but we will be meeting soon.
All right. Okay, moving on to unfinished business, hearing none. Thank you all for staying with us and those online. Somebody shot? What, unfinished business? Did I miss something?
No, you just got to do it quick, which is fine. Oh, which is fine.
So no unfinished business. There's no new business at this particular point. We're moving down to public comments. This is a part where you can address the board, whatever comment you like to present the board with. You have 3 minutes, please, ma'am, please, sir. Ms. Benita, do we have anyone for public comment?
Mr. Flores, and then Melissa Kaplan, I believe, is online.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for having me. Is the 3 minutes, my colleagues want to speak as well, so can we each get 3 minutes or at least 2 of us?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me tell you what needs to happen, Ms. Flores. Thank you so much.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
someone wants to speak, you need to sign in with the executive
The
secretary.
sheet's up there, so if you.
The
could
sheet's
just-
up there?
Okay,
You need
yeah,
to
we,
sign in, okay?
I'll keep it quick.
Thank you.
So, yeah, go ahead. My colleague Zach Roberts would like to pass something out to the board if you don't mind. And basically, I'm here to talk about American football and specifically LCC club football. So eventually, we would like to have it as a varsity sport at LCC. However, in the meantime, myself and a few others would like to start a club team here at LCC. And the reason why we're here today is LCC has actually halted the progress on us starting a club team due to insurance. Now, I do want to make mention of the report I just passed out. Please disregard pages 16 and 17. We had a mishap with the printer, but I can send a copy of the insurance over, if you don't mind, for potentially the lawyers to review. Let me rewind. LCC halted us because their insurance policy does not cover American football. However, the National Club Football Association, which is the league we would like to join, would cover us. They actually cover everybody that is in that league. And that list, I can send you a list of that as well, but that includes Michigan State University's club football team. The action that I'm asking the board to take is to approve our insurance. As I stated, I can email that over. And then the other thing I'd like you to do is to direct LCC to make this club football team a priority. We'd like it expedited approval so that we may have more time to start raising funds and recruiting within the college and outside of community college. That was all I had. I appreciate you guys for your time.
Lorenz.
Okay, next please.
How are we doing? My name is David McNeely. I'm a financial strategist and the vice president of business planning for the financial planning firm Centennial Group downtown Lansing here. And the reason I'm here is because I had the opportunity to play 5 seasons of semi-pro football for the Lansing area. We were able to win 3 division championships, 1 conference championship, and play for a national championship in Miami. I believe it was in 2021 that we were able to do that. So a couple things that I'd like to propose and why football, I think LCC should adopt football. First of all, is for the community outreach. There's a section in our culture that eats, sleeps, and breathes football. To them, football is life, and they study it, they practice it, they train for it, and spend innumerable hours preparing to play it to the best of their ability. And adding a football team to the college would allow LCC to reach that community in an unprecedented way through the team, through youth football camps, and other community opportunities. There's a sense of community and pride as well. There's nothing in this country that brings more people together than football, except maybe a Taylor Swift concert. That was for the lovely lady that loves jokes. I tried. The pride instilled for your team, not just in the students, but also in the community, is second to none when it comes to football. It allows complete strangers to become friends and creates a bond amongst people that may never meet or interact otherwise. Football transcends cultural, economic, and political divides like nothing else in our communities. And in a time of strong division in our society, football is a great uniter. The third point is really expanded opportunities for individuals. The aforementioned community that loves football is often full of young people coming out of high school, some of them that I had the pleasure of playing with, that don't have many roads to get further ahead in their lives. And often they just need a path that fits them and their passion to continue expanding on their potential. A football team at LCC would inspire them with opportunities to a better life through higher education and continued character development. So Lansing, I believe, would rally around bringing a football team to its prestigious college. It would give our community a tremendous sense of pride and even more opportunities for better futures. Imagine the pride for the headline of the future: the Community College Football National Champions, the Lansing Stars. Thank you.
Mr. Neely, right? McNeely? Okay.
Hello, Board of Trustees. My name is Zachary Roberts. I'm currently a varsity football coach at Okemos High School. I coach the offensive line there. I am also a student currently at LCC. I'm taking kinesiology, just trying to get that degree so I can try to make that jump up to the college level. You know, my friends here, we're very passionate about football. We think it would do a very big thing in the Lansing area, having a football team here. We could probably be competitive very quickly with the amount of student athletes that we have in the area that otherwise don't get an opportunity to go to NCAA, NAIA schools. You know, it's a passion for me specifically to get this ahead. Sorry, I have a hard time public speaking.
You don't mind, it's okay.
It's a big passion for me because when I was a senior in 2015, I had some injuries which provided me not necessarily having the ability to go play college football. I had a few offers, but they pulled them after I got injured. So, you know, if LCC would have had a club football team or a varsity football team at that point, I probably would have tried to walk on here and I probably would already have my associate's degree I understand that football is not the end all be all. We're a student first, athlete second. But I believe that having football here would foster a sense of community to get more people to invest in LCC outside of just the football team as well. Thank you for your time. As my friend had said, Rigo Flores, if we can just get your guys an email just to send that insurance to you guys, we can send that right after we're done with the meeting here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen. Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Chair Matthews, trustees, and President Robinson. I have the privilege of helping to come to this part of the meeting, and I'm always happy to be able to share with you upcoming events that are being offered by our Arts and Sciences Division and invite you to attend. I'm Melissa Kaplan, and I'm the Academic and Arts Outreach Coordinator in the Business Communication and the Arts Department. And we've got 3 big events that are coming up in November before your next board meeting. The first is this Friday. It's the first ever fall swing fling. It's a swing dance to live big band music, and it's open to the campus and the community. It's a great outreach event. The LCC Jazz Band will be performing in the Gannon Commons from 6 to 9 p.m., which is a little bit different venue, but we're able to open it up both for the band, who will be playing all kinds of tunes from the big band era, the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, and we'll have some dance instructors on hand so we can all feel comfortable on the dance floor. The next week, the theater program opens cosplay for a 2-week run in the Black Box. It's an intriguing new play about a couple of gamers who meet online, but when they meet in real life, they find that it's a lot more challenging. And then finally, before your next board meeting on Saturday, November 9th, is STEAM Fest. And this is such a wonderful event. It's in its, I think it's in its 30th year here on campus. And this is a morning in the Arts and Science Building, open to all Lansing area kindergarten through 6th graders and their families. And there will be, I think that's like 36 different activity rooms that all explore different areas of STEAM: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And it's a great deal of fun. Often 500 to 600 kids and their families show up, and you can do all kinds of cool things like make slime, and it's very delightful to see children coming in and getting excited about the STEAM areas, and hopefully they will be our future stars. So those are some things coming up, but real quickly, something that will be in the next president's report, I'm sure. I just want to mention to you that we had an incredibly successful run that just closed yesterday of The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical, which is based on the hugely popular young adult novels and a Disney Plus show. We had, over the 2-week run, 1,300 people came to see it, including Friday night was a high school night, and we sent special invitations to high schools, had a lot of high school kids coming, and a chance to talk with them about our programs and for them to meet the cast afterwards and find out just, who is it that's on stage. And it's really a wonderful array of students that make up the cast, not only in performing arts, but in business and nursing. So we're really proud of those students. We have so much talent here, and our students and our community appreciate the support and the value that the college places on the arts. So thank you for your support, and thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you. Oh, really? Oh, she's gone.
I'm back.
Saturday, November 9th. What was?
That's STEAM Fest. That is the event for the K through 6th graders. And that's in the Arts and Science Building, and it's from 9 to 12:30 in the morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to board comments.
I'll go after her.
I just wanted to say that I did get to attend the ACE breakfast and it was very inspiring. My granddaughter, my 4-year-old granddaughter came with me, and she wanted to kind of look around campus because she was on the elevator and she saw the color outside. So we kind of looked around and she said she wanted to attend college. So there you have that. I'm grateful for all the work that was put into it. Great job, everyone. And I'm grateful to all the work you put into making our college a success. So thank you.
Yes, just a couple things. I'll be quick. Hopefully, my experience at the ACCT conference was eye-opening. First of all, in the different sessions that I attended and then the luncheons that we had, the breakfast we had, I like to consider myself a trained observer of people. You all might call it people watcher. But in so doing, just listening to the many years of trustees from all over the nation talk about how we should be, as trustees, focused on students. And, although that was certainly why I'm here, it kind of reinvigorated me and made me understand my role better here as a trustee. Another thing I noticed is the amount of respect, gratitude that my fellow colleagues have from all over the nation. I mean, our chair, Thomas, Hidalgo, and Proctor are like, well respected around the nation. Lansing Community College with our president. Every time I looked, somebody was coming up and talking to them with a face of gratitude and respect towards them as mentors. And so myself and Fraser have some big shoes to fill if we're able to continue this venture here on the Board of Trustees. That says a lot to my fellow colleagues, so I appreciate that. And then lastly, I was really excited to hear this presentation about possible football here at the Lansing Community College. I think what we saw there is three leaders in the community. They're very passionate about bringing the sport to this college. And when insurance comes up, that always inevitably comes up in any sport. As a former AAU basketball coach of my sons, since they were 7 years old, baseball, that issue always comes up and it always seems to be an obstacle. And it sounds like they've done their homework on that. And so I would just like to encourage maybe our fellow trustees, my fellow trustees, and maybe the president to not let this conversation stop now. Maybe we can pursue this and have this on an agenda in the future to talk more about this club football and possibly making it a varsity sport here. So thank you. That's all I had, Chair.
Thank you. So first off, I love STEAM Fest. It's so much fun. I'm sure you all already know, but if you don't know, it's awesome and you should go even if you're not K through 12. It's still really fun for everybody. In addition to Indigenous Peoples Day, we also had Orange Shirt Day, which is the day when we remember all of the children who did not survive the boarding schools. Bodies are still being discovered, and this was not 100 years ago. If you know an Indigenous person, they or their grandparents experienced this. And so along that line, we held the first powwow in Lansing since 2016, right across the park, right across the street in the park. I want to thank everyone who came out. We had an incredible turnout. It was a huge, very successful event. It was amazing. We will be back next year. So if you missed out on your Indian taco, don't worry, you will have more opportunities next year. So stay tuned for that. I also am so sad that I was not able to attend ACCT with my colleagues. I was spent part of that time at Muckaday K1 on the reservation and then celebrating my grandfather's 94th birthday. So, and he's in excellent health and great spirits. So it was really nice, though. We had 4 generations all together. And finally, most importantly, don't forget to vote. You can still vote early. You can even vote early over at Foster Community Center. You can drop off your mail-in ballot. If you don't want to put it in the mail, you can vote in person. Whoever you are voting for, get out and vote.
Just wanted to cover my point from ACCT. There was like she said, a lot of talk about the future. And it was saying, the note said, futuring is embracing the future to include uncertainties. I went to one that said, why futuring versus strategic planning, proactive over reactive, embracing uncertainty, long-term sustainability. 3 futures of an organization: possible, probable, preferable. Possible is when COVID hit and different things you don't expect. Probable, things you want to happen, and preferable, what you want to happen with your goals, regarding your goals. So I'm grateful that our college is always looking to the future, and I'm looking forward to our new innovative ways that we come up with for our students. So I'm really excited for the ideas that will surface from our college, from our faculty, from our students. So thank you.
I just want to remind my colleagues that you have been sent an email for November the 9th, Saturday, for the Refresh and Review Board Retreat. I would ask that you would take a look at that email tomorrow and that you would respond to Ms. Duncan as soon as you can so that we can get this on the books. And it is a review session and it is open. So it's informational only. So that session will be open to whomever would like to participate. I mean, not participate, but come. We will have Dr. Robinson and his staff there to answer any of our questions and to massage this strategic plan and get these board ends together so we can align them and we can get this done before 2024.
Are we only responding if we can't attend? Okay. Okay. So you're assuming attendance, but won't tell you.
Yes, unless you tell me, I'm going to assume you're going to be there. That's okay.
All right, we do have a closed session.
I move that the board enter into a closed session for section 8A. I move that the board enter into a closed session for section 8A of the Michigan Open Meeting Act for the purpose of discussing the president's yearly performance review for his request to be undertaken in a closed session.
Second.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Chair Odago and second by Trustee Hidalgo that we go into closed session for the information or the statement that has been presented. All in favor said aye.
Aye.
Okay, we move into closed session. 10-minute break. Thank you all for staying with us.
He told me to get cooked.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just joking.
Growing boys.
I know. I came home, my youngest was in high school.
To the game. Brand new 1 gallon jug of milk and the brand new bag for you. And they're talking about it. He's going through town. Oh.
No, I went to Costco today. It's like, and I probably have to go and get rid of meat. But, you know, they were, actually.
Is it she?
No. Yeah. You guys got it. I knew they wanted to eat.
I don't.
They're like, "Hey, can we get it like that?" I said, "Absolutely not." What the book I get to them? I left them out. You know, like meal preps again.
Tomorrow.
No. Oh, you're reading. I went to Costco.
Yeah. It was the chair. Ready? You? Oh my God.
How much milk?
I'm hungry. Is Benita taking wrong?
Terry Frazier, Noel Garcia, President.
Hi. President.
Lawrence Sadago.
Here.
Angela Matthews. Here. Robert Proctor, LaShonda Thomas, Samantha Vade.
Here. Who's moving to adjourn?
They'll move.
Oh, no, you ain't moved all night.
On.
Oh. I make a motion to close the meeting. Aye.
Hey, thank you, Joanna.
All that good.
Hey, some cookies.
Thank you all.
Serious, right? I think you.
You almost gave me